Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, Attorney Kim Hegwood with Hegwood Law Group, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning, and thank you for tuning in today on Life Happens. We are super proud today to have Laura Wayman on the show, nationally known Laura Wayman. And so can you tell our listeners a little bit about you?
Of course, I'd love to, and thank you for having me today. Once again, my name is Laura Wayman. I am an internationally renowned dementia care expert known as the Dementia Whisperer. And what I do is raise dementia awareness for family caregivers, professional caregivers, communities, assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing, first responders, nurses, because we're going to talk about today, why is it important? What am I talking about? What does this mean with dementia awareness? And so thank you for once again giving me this opportunity to share this such an important message.
What we're finding in my practice is that it's slowly becoming more dementia focused because more and more people are getting dementia. And that's what we're finding. And so how can we help you raise dementia awareness in our communities?
Well, we should raise dementia awareness in our local communities because our communities are made up of people who share their skills and their experiences and are in the community. And this includes those with dementia symptoms. So we need to ensure that those with dementia symptoms can live a quality life and especially help their caregivers live a quality life. So that's our challenge. And how do we do that? How do we raise dementia awareness? We understand why, because like you said, this is a silent pandemic. When you reach the age of 65, you have a 50% chance of having some cause of dementia. That's over 50% of those who have reached the wonderful age of 65. So in order for us to build dementia awareness in our communities, we have a long way to go, but we have to be able to ensure that those with dementia symptoms and their caregivers can find in their community support and resources. And what I'm hearing now is they reach out for this kind of support. And what they're finding is that there's all too often, they're not met with the proper kind of response. So they lose their confidence. They feel like they have nothing to contribute. And they start to not reach out anymore. They start to not want to be a part of the community because they don't feel that they can. And we can change that. We can build this awareness with education and support and resources so that when they reach out, they receive that proper dementia-aware response. And we help them to continue to engage in the community and do the things that they love to do.
Okay, well, now I'm going to back up just a minute because I know that my listeners want to know, how did you get the name, the Dementia Whisperer?
Oh, okay. Well, I have been working in this industry for over 25 years, and I've owned a very successful in-home care company and trained caregivers. I've been an executive director at a memory care community. And along the way, I began to see, because of personal experience as a caregiver myself, I began to see that there was a lack of understanding about what was happening in that person's brain and why they were having these certain challenges. And it was becoming more and more difficult as the dementia symptoms progressed for us to connect and make that kind of positive engagement. So as I studied this more and more, I began to learn that we can't stop it, fix it, or change it. As they continue to decline, they will continue to have these struggles. There's no recovery, there's no cure. But caregivers, as the individuals around them, we can learn to better manage and help them to have some tools that support them in their loss, and also continue to learn to support them with the abilities they still have. So it's this dance that we have to learn. But just like I said, I can engage with them. I've learned to engage with those with dementia symptoms in a very positive way, and to whisper to them and connect with them. But it is skills that I've learned, and I have to spread that awareness to the caregivers so that they can do that as well, with the understanding we're not stopping, fixing, or changing it at all. We are just supporting them with gentle guidance. I like to say that someone with dementia symptoms has a broken thinker. They're having a difficulty thinking and understanding and processing the world around them. So the more we think for them as individual dementia whisperers, the less anxious and fearful and confused they are. So we come alongside them, and we indeed whisper in their ear by connecting and providing this special kind of engagement that supports them and gives them the ability to have this positive quality of life.
Well, I'm a huge fan of quality of life, and I think it's so important for our seniors, because they're just the best. I think they're just the best part of of our day to day. So many people that have talked to me know my story and know that I'm a huge. I miss my grandparents a lot, so having an elder law practice enables me to spend time with everybody else's grandparents, and so I'm always really excited about that. But you find that I think education is really important, because you find that a lot of your caregivers get very frustrated. They don't know how to interact with someone who has dementia, so they don't know what to do. And so we've tried to put together some things of you don't argue, you redirect, all those things that that hopefully are helpful. And so, but I think that it's still real difficult as far as raising awareness, dementia awareness specifically in our community. And so how do you go about helping individual communities raise dementia awareness, so that way we can do better for the people that are in our communities that are suffering from dementia, and their caregivers specifically, to help them get through this process?
That's a great question. And like I said just a little bit earlier, we have a lot of work to do. But it starts with the individual, just like yourself, Kim, and the knowledge that we have a lot of myths and misconceptions about what dementia is. And so the first thing I always like to talk about is we need to understand what it is. What is dementia? It's not a disease. It's not a condition. It is not a diagnosis. So it's an incorrect sentence for me to say you have dementia. How I can correct that and make it a real fact is I would have to approach it like this. You are presenting dementia symptoms, because something has to cause you to have dementia symptoms, and that cause is the diagnosis. That cause is the disease or the illness or the condition that's causing you to lose normal brain function, and you are presenting that loss of normal brain function in the dementia symptoms. It's your body saying, hey, there's something wrong. I'm losing that learned brain function. Please help me, because that's the only way our body has to present it, through these symptoms. So when we think about communicating and connecting with someone with dementia, what we need to do is connect with their feelings and emotions that still remain, because they don't lose that. They lose the ability to process all of this information coming at them and how it makes them feel. So we unintentionally often make mistakes in our communication and our engagement, because we try and connect as if they didn't have this loss. And so we can try and connect with a healthy brain. And one of the biggest things that is so anxiety invoking is that when we connect with someone who has this loss, we try and ask them questions. Now, I want to ask you a question right now, Kim. If I ask you, how are you today? What does your brain start to do immediately? You process that. You start to think. You start to process, well, how am I? So that you can give a proper response. Now, we have in our arsenal, as just social individuals, we have in our arsenal answers that we don't have to think for that question. Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
However, we still do that. We just do it with a healthy brain we do it on autopilot without having to think about it. When you start to lose the ability to think about what the information is and how to respond, that's when you start to have some anxiety. So that's when I hear caregivers say, yeah, if I ask Dad how he is, he goes, I don't know. I guess I'm okay. So what we need to do is help them to feel like they are answering in a way that makes them feel accomplished, instead of having to think about, well, I don't know, and not feeling that feeling of accomplishment. They feel instead confused and anxious. So instead of saying, how are you today, Kim? What I would say is, Kim, you look great. It's so nice to be with you. How does that make you feel, by the way? Just with a healthy brain, how does that make you feel?
Very, very lovely, warm, get that warm, fuzzy feeling. And so, it's a very genuine, happy type feeling.
Yes, because I touched your feelings without you having to think about it, without you having to go through your arsenal and say, am I fine? Or am I a little rushed? Or did things not go so well today? I want you to understand how important this initial engagement is, and then how to follow through with that. When you're working with your clients, can you imagine if they have a little bit of this confusion, they're coming to you, they're a little bit scared. What are you going to do? Are you going to take something away from them? Are you going to prove that they can't manage their stuff to themselves? They have this feeling that maybe some things are being lost in the whole translation, but they don't want you to feel like they are feeling all of that. Is that correct? Is that kind of a good assumption? And
most of the time, yes.
Yes, and their caregiver sometimes is frustrated because that person who they're caring for, who has these symptoms, often is not even acknowledging that they have them, and so the caregiver's going, "Well, Dad, you're really not doing well with this," but then that makes Dad feel bad. So if you can immediately come in and think for them, to step in and help get the information without asking questions, you will find that it sparks much more of a positive response from everybody. So instead of saying, well, let me ask you some questions, and you start battering them with questions, instead you say, well, there's these options. We have this option. Let's talk about this option. And then you can let them think about that rather than giving them two options. Okay, well, we have A and we have B, and you need to decide. You can say, this is A. And, and I can see that you understand that. So it's taking a little bit of extra time. It's not, sometimes people look at me and say, well, aren't you leading them? Well, yeah, you kind of are, but you're leading them to find a place that they feel comfortable. So you're still giving them options. You're just allowing them a little bit more time to process the options without overwhelming them with having to make a decision or answer a question. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I bet you're already good at that, but I just want to talk about, because when we're working with those that have these challenges, we have to get good at it in order to figure it out. But what I like to do is kind of break it down so that we can help those that are listening today or watching today start to think in this very different way.
Yeah, well, that's good, because you went right into, I was thinking, somebody might need an example, and you went right into an example, which was great. And so, but I'm one of those that I always feel like there's always so much to learn. You always want to be, you always want to be learning, but in order for us as elder law attorneys to be good at our job, it's important that we're able to have those conversations. And so a lot of times, a lot of times it's just a matter of, just having general conversations.
Yes.
Just general conversations. I laugh and tell a lot of clients, I can tell a lot about your mental health just by having a conversation with you.
Right.
And I'll learn a lot about what's going on in your life just chit-chatting, and so it makes it easy. And the goal is for people to feel comfortable coming in anyway. So you want them to feel comfortable, sitting down and having a conversation with you. But it was very enlightening because I would have, automatically, how are you feeling today? And what a horrible thing to ask somebody, so that was really good for me because I learned something there, which is always good. Really telling them, hey, you look great today. I like to tell them how handsome or how cute they look and how beautiful, and sometimes, just a little flirty because it just makes them feel good, when you're complimenting them, and telling them, I was like, oh, you really dressed up to come in today. You look sharp,
You
And,
clean up so nice.
so, well, I could think that most days I do, but still it's, it's just a matter, you didn't have to dress so well to come see me, kind of thing.
Yes. And it's all about how that makes us feel. Those feelings and emotions that we're born with, those never go away. But over time, we learn to manage those and cope with those and deal with those on our own level. But that's exactly the kind of loss that happens. I like to use another example. I put my husband on the spot all the time with this example, but it's so important that we learn not to ask questions, but it's so much ingrained in us because asking someone with a healthy brain a question works. It works. And we do it all our life. Now I'm going to tell you that doesn't work anymore when someone has this broken thinker. And it can be any level. So my husband has seen many of my presentations. He's, of course, read my book. He is my biggest champion. We call him Mr. Dementia Whisperer because when he's traveling with me, when he has that opportunity, someone will ask him a question and he's just using the same kinds of verbal response that I give all the time. But when it's personal, this is so hard. And several years ago, his mom had a very debilitating stroke. And she lives in St. Louis, and it affected very much the loss that she had. Every individual was different with their loss, but the loss that she had, of course, was unfortunately in the language center of her brain, understanding language. And then she's able to respond, but it's challenging for her. And it's especially challenging for her to process what is said to her. It takes a long time and it makes her very anxious. So in the past, my husband and her would have these verbal ping pong games because there's both just linguistic. They enjoy that so much. And he would tease in sarcasm and ask questions and she would tease back, but she lost that ability. And it's been very hard for him to learn not to do that because it's anxiety invoking for her. So the only way we can communicate with her, because she's in St. Louis, is over the telephone. Well, you ask questions over the phone. It's just a part of what you do. And so he's had to practice very much so. So before we'd call her, we'd always practice. No questions, no questions, no questions. So a few months ago, we called her up. She's in skilled nursing. The nurse brought her the phone. We could hear the nurse say, hey, it's your son, Steve. And she had to think about that for a minute. And then Steve said, he started out right. I'm right there with him. And he starts out right. He says, and she's on speakerphone. He says, hi, Mom, it's Steve. And she says, hi, Steve. And he says, how'd you sleep last night? And he goes, oh, and I'm going, no questions. This is exactly what she did, Kim. I could hear her. She just fell into anxiety. Oh, Steve, I didn't sleep well at all. Steve, it's so noisy. Will you come get me? And he's going, uh-oh. And so immediately she's anxious. So he says, Mom, Laura wants to talk to you. And he gives me the phone. This is what I did immediately. And this is so powerful for you to understand how much of an impact this had. I said, hi, Mom, it's Laura. She said, hi, Laura. I said, Mom, it sounds like you got a great night's sleep. And she said, I did. And she started chattering about what she had for breakfast. Immediately, I switched her from that anxiety because I thought for her, gave her that feeling of confidence. Oh, I did sleep okay. I am okay. Immediately by telling her that. It just is so magical. So I want our listeners and our viewing audience to understand it is a fairly simple, if you think about it, it's a fairly simple switch in the way we're communicating, but it is so unbelievably powerful.
So for those of us that would love to know more about being able to do this better, and how does someone, I mean, I'm assuming you have trainings and things like that, correct?
I do have lots. And I've been so inspired by so many people, groups, individuals, organizations, even communities. There's a community here in Northern California that I'm proud to say the entire community is dementia-aware. And so many others that have begun to work even around the world to make this real difference. And it's starting even in schools by introducing dementia awareness into the curriculum. It's so amazing to see that next generation thinking positive about how the condition affects people and discovering for themselves how they can be more supportive and can have dementia-aware resources. I even heard about a bus company in a community here in California that was helping those with dementia symptoms and their caregivers maintain their independence by helping their drivers have the opportunity to become dementia aware, to learn how to communicate and support on this very special level, and develop ways for a more practical approach, even in the bus community, and allowing them to travel in and around their communities easier. So I do have ways that you can join me. And the very first thing I want to talk about is my book. My book, A Loving Approach to Dementia Care, is where I usually start, folks. It's published by Johns Hopkins University Press. It's readily available, and it's a great way to start the dementia awareness process as an individual. It's reader-friendly. It even is available in Audible. And right now it's in its second edition, but Kim, I have great news because the third edition is coming out in March. So even more information about dementia awareness. It is written in a way that's easy to understand and relate to. It's all about stories of these individual caregivers and organizations, groups that I've worked with on a personal level, showing how we learn together, perceptions and lessons, all about different awareness approaches and strategies. And because of the coronavirus, I can't get one-on-one and into communities anymore and traveling, which I truly love to do. I'm missing that tremendously, but I recognized the second best thing is to get my trainings online. So now I've made available online all different ways to build this dementia-aware communities around the world, because on my website, there's many training options, from different options for family and professional caregivers to first responders. I even can provide continuing education credits here in California for RNs, LVNs, and residential care facility administrators. Of course, there's staff training that's readily available for all different sizes of organizations, for assisted living, memory care, in-home care, skilled nursing, anyone, support for anyone with any cause of dementia symptoms, and for anyone who is caring for them, coming in contact with them, dealing with them, which we all are.
Yeah. And so, well, that's awesome. That's so awesome. And so I think too, for us, the pandemic really enabled us to do some things that we kind of put off doing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our workshops are on the website now, so people can watch them at their leisure. So you don't have to worry about missing that, just being at a particular place at a particular time, So I think that's made, a lot of everybody really try to get things out so that people know, they really know where you can find stuff and you can get to it, and you have this opportunity to learn. And so, have you seen a lot of forward progress in the things that you're doing in the teaching and the people that are helping, those clients that have dementia?
Absolutely. I am so fortunate to have this opportunity today and help from all of the different organizations around the country that are accessing my trainings that, I just did a great Zoominar with a wonderful assisted living in Dallas, Texas. We can bring this now. That is the absolute benefit of all of this online and virtual, is that it's readily available. I'm available for you, Kim, if you wanted to do some kind of Zoominar or live training for an organization that you belong to, or just for your office. It is so important that we together get this information out. I do every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on my Facebook. I do a live training. I'm off of it right now until mid-October because I'm in the midst of this move. Yeah. But I do that. You can access that on my Facebook. You can access all of those trainings, and it has grief support. There's staff training for challenges, all different kinds of topics. And you're always welcome to reach out to me if there's a topic that you wish to explore together. I want to become your dementia expert, the voice for you, Kim, here as we raise dementia awareness in this wonderful media.
Yeah, and I appreciate that immensely because, I belong to a mastermind group of other elder law attorneys, and part of our focus has been, towards, really working towards helping those clients that have dementia, because more and more people are getting, diagnosed. And so this is, for me, this is all part of, our learning and our ability to learn for other people as well. And so, I talk to a lot of families, and so in everything that I can learn and pass on to make their lives easier is always a blessing.
Absolutely. I'm available to support you. I will become your dementia aware champion. All you have to do is email me. You can send families to me. I do online consultations. They're very affordable. I do that all around the world. And my book, A Loving Approach to Dementia Care, is actually published in Russian, and it is a bestseller in Russia. So that's why I say I'm now an international dementia care expert. And it's just amazing that, in Russia, this problem is the same, and they have less resources there than we have here. So it's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so how does someone find you?
You can find me many different ways. Of course, my website is very user-friendly. You can explore all the different options I have, and that's laurawayman.com. And it's Wayman, W-A-Y-M-A-N, like no Wayman. So you can email me. I answer all my emails. I don't have a staff that's going to answer. I get hundreds of emails a day, and I answer them personally, and that's help, H-E-L-P, at laurawayman.com. So please reach out to me. If you type in the Dementia Whisperer in a Google, I will come up in about 10 pages. So I'm getting out there. Of course, you can reach me on my Facebook. You can join my Facebook. Join me and let's talk online. It's facebook.com/the Dementia Whisperer. So if you're not finding me, you of course come back to Kim. If you're listening now, Kim can get you to me, and Kim and I probably in the future will be doing many more kinds of things together, because I really want to support her as well, and support all of her clients and all of the resources she has there in her area.
So, well, I look forward to it. And so, because we work with a lot of, we're blessed that we work with a lot of partners, a lot of home health agencies, hospice workers, care managers, nurses, things like that, so you probably will be hearing from me sooner, because I would like to have some of that training for the people that are, the first responders, the people that are there, the caregivers, that are actually doing the work, to give them as much good information as possible. So you will definitely be hearing from me. And this has been great. And so I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you coming on the show, and how educational it's been for me. And I look forward to doing this again, and hopefully giving, more information, different information, but helpful in the future. I don't envy you having to move. And so I'll be thinking about you doing that, because I know that's moving is just not fun stuff. So, but hopefully you'll be happy in your new home, and
Thank you.
and so definitely. So thank you so much for being on the show, and then we'll be in touch, and have a great weekend and safe travels.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you so much. Stay safe and stay doing what you're doing. You are making a difference.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast, as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.